You know what? Life is hard. Let's read something cozy, shall we? If you are looking for something super cozy to read that has a little bit of magic, you are definitely going to want to read books about books, because if reading books is cozy, then reading books about books and magic in a cozy setting is definitely what you're going to want. So I read 3 books about books with a touch of magic. 2 of them I highly recommend. One of them was like, meh. I'll save the meh for last because I want you to really enjoy the coziness. The first book I read that was cozy, a cozy book about books with magical vibes and slight bits of magic, is Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower. So, of course, if you've been around here for any length of time, you know why I picked this book. There's an animal on the front. Cat or dog will reel me in. Cat plus magic plus books. Yes, I absolutely needed to read this book. The premise is that the main character's grandma calls her and says like, hey, I'm kind of at the end of life. I need you to come here and just be with me. Of course, she races to her grandmother. It's back in her hometown. And this isn't a spoiler because this all happens right at the beginning. She races to her grandmother, who owns this bookshop. She races to her grandmother only to find out immediately her grandmother is doing perfectly fine and was just trying to get her to come to this bookstore, which, as you find out, and it's, again, not a spoiler, it has magical books that will either come off the shelves and land, like actually hit a person and be the book for them, or the books will show up randomly for the bookstore owners and then give them clues to mysteries. Okay, I know that sounds weird, and it is. So that's why I want to address, let's do pros and cons. Because, oh, I forgot to tell you, a mystery happens. It is a cozy mystery. So a mystery happens, and so, of course, the granddaughter and her grandmother do all this work trying to solve the mystery and see who done it. So it's like, first of all, you read it and think, oh, cool, a cozy mystery. But also, the books being magical is as strange as it sounds. Okay, pros and cons. Pros. Coziness, absolutely. It's small town. They're always talking about coffee and books and, small town characters, quirky. So you will get that. Pros, cozy. The mystery, I think partway through I was kind of certain that I guessed who had done it. It turns out that one of the people I was suspicious of had done it. So it was between predictable and a surprise. Kind of like, oh, the reveal was like, oh, interesting. Okay. But the pros, like I said, cozy vibes. If you like a touch of magic, then that will be a pro for you. For me, I love magic. Like I said, if you've watched my videos before, you know I love fantasy stories with magic. So for me, it was almost not a full con in as far as pros and cons, but it seemed like 2 types of books put together. So you're invested in this grandma and her granddaughter, and then the granddaughter has, relationships, like friendships and history with people in the town. So on one level, you're getting invested in these people's lives and the small town characters. And then it'll be like, and the book just landed at my feet, trying to tell me who had done it, or like, was this the clue that the books were trying to tell me? And you're like, to me, it didn't really flow in well with the everyday kind of like more normal parts of the story. But again, like, who cares? If you want to feel cozy, like I said, the world is, stressful. And so if you want to escape into a ridiculous cozy fantasy, absolutely, yes. I recommend just for that. Also, I mean, look, The cat is magical. It's so cute and cozy. There's a tree growing in the bookstore. I mean, yeah. And there's a sequel. I will be reading that, but it's fall themed on the cover, so I'm waiting for it to be fall outside for me to read that one. Okay, so I finished this book, and then I came over to my pile of books, and I was like, okay, which one's next? And I kind of had the thought that it could be cool to read books about books and then do a video like I'm doing. So I thought, okay, this next one here is a book about books. Well, silly me, I forgot that this book was also about books that talk to people or that like are magical and move on their own and say the things. Same problem with this one is that the magic of the books and the other things I'm going to share with you about the story, to me, seemed like two completely different storylines that didn't fully incorporate into each other. To back up, this is called The Book Charmer by Karen Hawkins. And this is about, it's about multiple characters. It says it's about the book charmer, but there is the person who's considered the book charmer, but she has equal screen time with all the other characters in this small town. So this again is a small town story, a cast of multiple characters with their own backstories, and you really get to know the characters. So, but then you also have this thing about the books, which again, I love books, magical realism, fantasy, magic. But for me, I almost feel like they could have left out several of these interactions with the books talking to one of the characters, and could have just focused on this small town and what it was going through. Because the plot of this story is there's a small town that is really struggling, and all these different people are in the town and trying to figure out, how do we save our town? But in the midst of that, you have people with their own struggles trying to figure out, how do I work through these struggles that I'm going through, like real hardships in life. Like one character has a mother who is going through Alzheimer's, and so it's really true to life stuff that a lot of people really have to deal with. One character is a veteran and is dealing with the trauma that comes from that. And, like there's just so many interesting true to life themes that are really, I think, beautifully covered here. So pros and cons, again, just like this, the crime and poetry one. So for the book charmer, pros, cozy for sure. Again, books, small town, characters, they're not trying to solve a mystery here. They're just trying to figure out, how do we save our town? And I got very invested in this little small town, even though when I started this book, I was kind of like regretting it a little, like, oh, this is not really what I thought I was going to be getting. So if you can just get through the first really strange bits where they do the magical realism, but again, it doesn't fully mesh with the very real characters that are here. If you can push through that, maybe try to enjoy the magic of it. Just push through to get to the characters dealing with their small town and their families and their own personal difficulties. And if you like stories about people trying to make it through life, trying to be there for each other, community is a huge theme. Being able to ask for help, not doing things on your own. This is a great read for that. I found out this author has other books in the series, so I immediately put them on my, I keep a running list of books that I want to read, so I put her other books on there. So cons, again, would be like, just the magical parts are confusing. Some of the descriptions are also confusing towards the beginning. I had a really hard time at the beginning of this book trying to picture the places that were being described, or like, it's hard to explain, but I would read things and then picture them in my mind. They were vaguely described, and so I'd be like, oh, I think I get what's happening, like where things were and where people were in relation to each other. And then the next sentence would completely go against that. I'm like, oh, okay, I have to completely redo the picture in my mind of what I thought I was reading. Anyways, it's not that big of a deal. I ended up loving this book, actually. I love it. I loved it. So again, a book about books with a bit of magic. Okay, last one that I read, a book about books with a bit of magic, was my kind of like, it was okay. This was, the third one I read was Pages and Company, however you want to say it, The Book Wanderers. This is the first in a series. I'm not personally going to continue on in the series. I'm glad I read it because, I mean, how cool is this? Book Wanderers, they're clearly, I mean, you can read from the back, it's not a spoiler. Clearly, she can walk into and interact with books and characters. They have like Alice in Wonderland, Anne of Green Gables, like she meets all these different characters from books. So basically, should I read the back? I'll just tell you, I'll try to do it without spoilers. Basically, Tilly, she's the main character. Her mom has gone missing, or I can't remember if they said that they thought she had passed away, or I can't remember. Her mom is not in her life, and she's living with her grandparents, and her grandparents own a bookstore. So it's like this multi-level bookstore. So we have the cozy bookstore vibes going. But she starts, no, I don't want to give a spoiler because you may want to read it. Things start happening that don't make sense in the real world. And so she is trying to figure out what's going on and what do her grandparents know and not know? What are they keeping from her? What are everyone's real abilities in this family and what actually happened to the people who aren't there? It has good, like a plot twist where I was like, oh, cool. That's a cool concept. But here's why it was just kind of meh for me. I think it's the style of writing. Ironically, I didn't feel immersed in this book, which is ironic because it's all based around people like us who love books and love reading and feel like they get lost in a book. It takes that concept and makes it literal, like these people are literally getting lost in their books or walking into the books or living through these books. And it's so ironic that I didn't feel immersed in this story at all. Like I wanted to be and I wanted to care, but I think it just felt like a lot of like explanations, explaining. It was a lot of like, tell me how this book wandering works. And there were all these like rules. So it's like, okay, so if you are in a book, this is how you get out, unless you're in this type of book. And then this thing happens. But why did this happen? Well, because you didn't get this little rule. And you're like, there's too many rules and too much talking about the rules. Like, I think if the author focused on the wonder of what is happening? How is this happening? Who else in my family can do this? Like, there wasn't a ton of wonder. It seemed to me like just a lot of explaining. And probably because the author was trying to set up a whole series of adventures that happened. But to me, it was like, it didn't hook me in enough to make me want to read the further adventures. So unfortunately for me, Pages and Company, the Book Wanderers, it just didn't pull me in. So maybe if I was like in middle grade, like I think this is like a middle grade book, like it's intended for people in middle grade. Maybe if I was younger, I wouldn't care about like there's too much rules and explaining and there's not enough wonder. Maybe I wouldn't have cared. So this could be a good gift for maybe someone preteen or tween in your life who really loves books. This could be great for them because, you know, maybe they're not going to analyze it like me where I'm like, I don't feel immersed in the story. They might just be like, cool, they're going into books. Like, that's awesome. So for me, you know, pros and cons, you know, I just explained them. I was about to say them again, but I think you get it. The Book Wanderers. I do have other books about books that I want to read on my to be read pile, but those ones don't have the little touch of magic. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this, like books about books with a touch of magic. Oh, there it's shining on my light. So these are books about books with a touch of magic, and I thought that was a super fun thing to cover in one video. But again, if you want really, really cozy vibes and a little magical escape, definitely look into these. I will be putting a link to a bookseller that I like to use, Abe Books. I'll put a link to them in the description. I'm still trying to work out my affiliate links, so if I figure out my affiliate links, it will say affiliate link next to it. But yeah, it just means that if you click on that link and then purchase something, then I get a little commission just for using that link at no extra cost to you. It's just a percentage that comes back to me for promoting them. So I promote Abe Books because I've used them. I like them. They have really great sales, great prices on a lot of things. I've gotten really good deals there, and they're all independent sellers, and it doesn't seem like as big of a online bookseller as some other things. So some other companies. So that is that. Those are the cozy, magical books about books. And if you would like to further support this channel, even more than what you're doing now, which is awesome and great, and for like watch hours and subscribers, I'm really, really trying to get monetized in the next few months. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I need to have at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I'm getting close on the watch hours. I'm close to 600 subscribers right now, so I don't know if it's going to work out for the next few months for me to meet that goal. But hey, eventually I want to get there. So if you are interested in the types of videos that you see on my channel, feel free to subscribe. It helps me out. Interacting, leaving comments helps. Please, please tell me if there is a cozy book about books that I have missed. Please recommend it in the comments, because I'm always looking for new cozy books to read. And also, totally got off track. If you want to support me more, if you are not on a tight budget, please feel free to check out my membership options on my Buy Me a Coffee site. I will link that below. Memberships start as low as $2 a month. But again, that is if you are not on a tight budget. No pressure. I'm also selling my honest gratitude journal with a place to write down the things that were difficult about your day and a place to write down what you're grateful for about your day. And I will have a link to that in the description. Also, happy reading. Look for something cozy and find a little magic.